Leaders go first. So whatever culture they're trying to infuse throughout the company, it has to start with them, and it has to be visible. So leaders can't just talk about it, they have to walk it. And so one great example is one of the school boards I was working with last year. The main director general of the school board decided that, you know what, there's going to be no more emails past 4:45, which is contractually what for these teachers and system leaders ended. So people were not allowed to email outside of that hour unless it was an absolute emergency. School's on fire, something major catastrophic. But see, putting implementations in that and policies like that and following through on them shows people that, you know, we really care about the people that we work with. That's got to be number one.
Ted, it is so great to see you. Either you've got a very convincing virtual background behind you, or you're just calling us from a really, really nice spot. How are you doing? Where are you?
Yes, I'm calling you from a very, very nice spot. I'm in Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. Yeah.
The best, one of the best spots to be in right now, obviously. Cottage country for those that are not familiar with Ontario that are watching this right now. But one of the favorite places for anybody in the GTA to go to, no matter the season. It looks like a beautiful day out there. Is that a lake that we see in the background?
Yes, that's a lake back there. And yeah, we try to spend as much time as we can up here. This is a family place that we have up here that my in-laws have. And it's just been, it's magical. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been.
Critical.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your schedule on which is, you know, as we're recording, one of the hottest days of the year. And so that lake will feel really nice to calm you down, I'm sure. But we're here to talk about thinking about leadership and having a healthy work style from a slightly different angle than that we usually do. You are a specialist when it comes to balancing out those healthy schedules through a healthy mindset in a healthy body. For people that have never met you before, what do they need to know about you?
Basically that I'm a health and physical education practitioner. I'm an author of several, lead author of several health and physical education textbooks that are used globally. And I think the biggest thing that they need to know about me is that I really like to practice what we talk about. It's always leaders go first. So whatever it is that we're spewing out or saying, it's really important that we actually walk the talk.
I love the fact that you already talk about, you know, leaders go first, and I want to go to that specifically. But before we do, you know, what are some, I know this is an impossible task, but, you know, in just 1 or 2 minutes, the importance of that relationship between energy and movement and leadership and creativity. Like for you, like what's the key element there? Like what's the key finding in the years you've been doing this and the books that you've written?
Yeah. So these are all well researched as well, Jasper. So the key elements to developing more energy, like we only have X amount of time on this planet. Nobody knows what that is, right? We call that a lifespan. But within that lifespan, there's something called your health span. And then if we take a 30,000 view of that health span, it's like, okay, what do I need to do to create more energy? What do I need throughout the day to be able to optimally perform, right? And some people call that high performance or the achievement of high performance. Now, it's not a destination, it's a journey. So to answer your question, in a few quick points, number one is getting a hold of my sleep. That's critical. Only time we repair, the only time that we develop this really critical cell in our body. It's actually every single cell in our body. It's called the mitochondria. We can dive into that deeper if you want. So sleep, number one. Number two, what we put into our body. Number three, how we move our body and exercise. So we've got nutrition, sleep, and exercise. So basically those three would sum it all up nicely.
Yeah. So what you're saying is a corporate culture with nonstop calls and a free pizza lunch once a week is maybe not the best way of going after building a healthy team.
Yeah. Even though pizza has pretty much every food group, it's probably not something that all the time. But you know, once in a while, hey, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, so you mentioned, and I said that I want to go deeper into that, the role of the leader. I guess when you read books about building corporate culture, when you talk to people, when you hear, keynote speakers talk, there seem to be two very different mindsets where it's like, well, culture has to come top down and the leader has to show how it has to walk the talk. And there's a lot of people also go like, well, stuff has to build grassroots from the ground up as well. What's your take on that with what you've seen? What do the best practices and the research tell you about the role of the leader in this?
Yeah, I think it's sandwich. So for sure, leaders go first. So whatever culture they're trying to infuse throughout the company, it has to start with them and it has to be visible. So leaders can't just talk about it, they have to walk it. And so one great example is one of the school boards I was working with last year. The main director general of the school board decided that, you know what, there's going to be no more emails past 4:45, which is contractually what for these teachers and assistant leaders ended. So people were not allowed to email outside of that hour unless it was an absolute emergency. School's on fire, something major catastrophic. But see, putting implementations in that and policies like that and following through on them shows people that, we really care about the people that we work with. That's got to be number one. Because again, going back to the beginning, we all don't know how much time we have on this planet, but we all want to perform the best that we possibly can within that and have the best possible relationships we can.
Yeah. And that for me personally resonates a lot because I personally remember a situation where I had one of my direct reports where I thought I was doing the right thing by saying, hey, this is my work style and I appreciate your work style and I like to work late nights, but I have no expectation whatsoever that you respond. But I was sending those emails and then later found out that I was putting immense amount of stress on people that were reporting into me because even though I said a million times, don't worry about it, they felt I have to mimic this style or I have to respond just because Jasper is sending out those emails, which comes at a potential cost of loss of people that need to have a change or loss of productivity. Is it challenging for you to quantify the risk when you see an unhealthy lifestyle or work style, maybe I should call it? Because a lot of people will ask, or I'm sure that people will challenge with like, oh, okay, if we have to do it differently, why do we have to do it? Why is this important? And I'm sure that you've been asked to show some clear cause and effect and potential costs at an unhealthy cycle. Can you share some insights?
Yeah, I think the ultimate way to put that is that if you look at what is the main organ in the body that controls all of that, it's our brain, correct? It demands 20 to 25% of your total energy intake, non-negotiable. So if I'm not getting the sleep I need, if I'm not getting the nutrients that I need, if I don't get the exercise I need, it will shut you down. Now, what's the downstream effect of all of that? Irritable, bad decisions, off the cuff comments, things that are impulsive that aren't necessarily best for the team. So if I can control those as the leader or as a leader of a team below me, or even if me being, down in the mail room, if I can control those, it's only going to make the team better. So I think that is the key. If we can harness that and understand that. Now, sounds simple, not simple to do, right? Because we got so many things that are competing against us. We got the emails, we've got all these distractions. We've basically eliminated boredom in one generation, right? Like in the old days before all of this beautiful technology that we have. And I'm not against technology whatsoever. It's our reality. We have to learn to live within it. But we didn't have that before, Jasper. So we were out in nature. We were out communicating. And so I think that is the key. If we can grasp that master organ in the body and take care of its needs, it will take care of us. So starting with the brain, which goes back to that sleep thing that we talked about.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about something very specific, Ted, because in my own experience and the teams around me, I noticed a very rapid increase of focus on healthy lifestyle and moving around when the pandemic hit and we were kind of all locked up working from home in a different muscle. Even people that were used to sometimes working from home were being properly locked down. there seemed to be, like, after a few months, a heightened focus on this. And I remember teams bringing in people like yourself to explain, this is how you take a proper break, this is how you do that. And now we're in this state of change and flux where a lot of companies are, asking for hybrid work styles, or asking people to come back for certain days or full time back to the office. And with this change of dynamic, there's a risk that focus we had is all of a sudden dropping off the radar a bit, because we're so focused on going to a different work style, and we might lose what we've learned. Is there, in your perspective, like, as companies are changing their work style or trying to change their culture again, what are some thoughts that you can share with them to make sure they don't fall in that trap of losing this focus on a healthy work style and movement? Like, how can we make sure that people aren't making the same mistake they did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think what we've learned tremendously throughout the pandemic and even before that was, first we create our habits, and then our habits create us. So what habits, what culture do I want to have within my company, and which ones do I want to pay the most attention to? So I think that's the biggest one. What are the habits we're trying to create? What are the ones that we value? And what are the ones that we're practicing the most? And again, I'll bring it right back to what we started with. We want people to have more energy. I'll be a better worker, I'll be a better person if I have more energy. And by harnessing all of those things, like we did in the workshop that Mazarine and I do together with this corporate wellness creativity, is showing them, hey, this is exactly what's happening in your body when you move. These are the hormones that are released. These are the chemicals that are released. And if we keep continuing to do this, you'll get more of these great feelings. Our bodies have their own innate pharmacy within it. You have a drug dealer within your body, Jasper, that is released when you move without any side effects. I mean, if we're trying to create energy, we need to replenish that factory, and then we have to make that factory within our bodies work better for us. And that involves what we talked about earlier: sleep, movement, and what we put into our body. First, we create our habits, then our habits create us. Do you get that?
I got it.